Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Godot community. I am Jody and Henry, and I am the Middle School Theater PLC moderator. I am so happy that you've decided to join us again for another webinar. For today's webinar, I will be discussing some really important topics as it pertains to arts education and its importance for us as theater educators. I will be talking about arts advocacy, community engagement, and ways in which we can create community both in our classrooms as well as with other teachers. Now first, arts advocacy. What exactly is it and why is it important? Advocacy is about educating and informing our community about the importance that we play. So how do I, as a theater teacher, advocate for my program to let the community see my value? One of the best ways that we can advocate for our program and to explain or show the value that we have being a part of the curriculum is through collaboration, networking, and sharing the great things that are happening in our classrooms. Collaborating with other teachers across the district, collaborating with other feeder schools, and other teachers in the building. Integrating what we do in the classroom with what they're doing. And showing how we can support the other content areas. I think through cross-curriculum collaboration is one of the ways that I am able to advocate and show the value of what I do in my classroom, to show how I'm able to teach the students soft skills that allow them to succeed in their other classrooms, in their English classes with presentation, because my class is heavy on collaboration and teamwork. How those skills help to improve the students, how performing and acting actually increases students' reading ability and reading scores, how students are able to develop better social skills and communication skills. So letting administrators and other teachers see the soft skills that students are learning from my class and how it's impacting the other classroom and what they do and how they perform in those classes are always excellent. And it helps me to advocate and show my value. Also, collaborating with other teachers on certain projects, aligning what I'm doing in terms of subject matter. Let's say in English class, they're reading a particular play. How am I able to support that teacher based on what I'm doing in my classroom? So finding those ways to collaborate with other teachers is another way that I advocate and show my presence and importance in the building. Also, establishing a positive and open communication channel with your school administrators. Having a positive relationship with them always comes in handy whenever you need something for your shows or need something for your space. For example, I needed a light board. I was working in a school that did not have the necessary materials that's needed to put on a full production. Now, not having a relationship with my administrators, going in and asking for certain things that require a lot of money and more funding, I might not have gotten the response that I needed. But having a clear communication, having an open communication, and building a relationship and rapport with them makes it easier, and especially when they're seeing the great things that you're already doing in your classroom and seeing how having these other things is only going to make the experience better for the students, improve the learning experience for the students. They're more willing to invest in the things that you need. Also, building a network of supporters that you can call on when there's a need for specific action. And these can be a network of supporters in your community within your school building. You'll be so surprised that there are a lot of other teachers that may have experience in the arts. Maybe they acted in high school. Maybe they participate in community theater. So reaching out to those individuals who are around you that will be able to support you, especially if you're working as the only theater teacher in the building, directing a show, working backstage, coordinating your students, being the technical director, being all those positions. It is always helpful to be able to call on the other adults that are around to help and support you. Also, another excellent way to advocate for your program and to show your presence is to volunteer to perform at community events and meetings. So if there are festivals and concerts, things that are going on in the community, different board meetings, you're able to reach out to them and volunteer to have your students be a part of the program, to perform, to be the entertainment. That's another way to be visible, to let people see the things that you're doing and the great things that your students are able to do. It's another way to show and to advocate for your program. Also, simply sharing and celebrating your students' accomplishments and your program accomplishments. So whenever my students compete in a particular competition, I will share those news through a mass email with my teachers, with other teachers, or with my administrators. Also, possibly sharing that information through creating a social media page for your theater program, having a website where you can post those things, or something that I do, creating a mashup video of the different performances that your students are doing or working on in class, and then sharing that with others. Now, here are some specific ways that I have advocated for my program just to show presence and to network and collaborate with those around me. So I have collaborated with the special education teacher in my previous high school. I would have my students in my advanced performance class. They would work on small performances, and then we would present them to the special education teachers in their classroom and their students. So, for example, one of my projects for my advanced class, we read and discussed children fairy tales, and then they had to create these small performances, short performances that we would present to those classrooms. Also, I've collaborated with the guidance counselors. So my students performed at the annual fall semester 9th grade assembly, and my students wrote really short 5-minute skits. They wrote these and they focused on issues that high school students face coming into high school. So whether that's bullying, being in the wrong crowd and getting distracted, not staying focused throughout high school and not being able to graduate on time, different issues of that nature, and they would write scenes around these topics and we would present them during the assembly. This would lead to conversation. We'd have a talk back with the students about what they observed. We talked about what would be the correct way that the student would respond to receive the outcome that they would like. So it created a conversation with our 9th graders during this assembly, and that would lead the counselors into talking about expectations, the difference between middle school and high school. Collaborating with your guidance counselors for your incoming 6th graders coming from elementary school, this might be a way for you to collaborate with your counselors in order to help those students transition from elementary school to middle school. Of course, elementary school has a different schedule and how the students transition from class to class and their connections. So coming to middle school is a huge transition for them. And having this type of performance is another way to give them that information and help them transition without just speaking to them or presenting to them. It's an entertaining way of presenting the information. Also, for me and my program, it allows me to reach those ninth graders who are just coming in who may not have selected drama as their elective class or their pathway. Now they're learning about it. They see these students on stage. Oh, that's so cool. That's so interesting. I would love to be a part of that. Where can I sign up for drama club? So it's a way for me to advertise my program to those students. Also, for high school, I do middle school visits, and this can work as well for middle school teachers. You visiting the elementary schools, going into the sixth grade classrooms, and performing for these students, talking to them about the program, and helping them to get more interested in your pathway or your elective. So for high school, I would have those students who would visit our feeder middle school, and I would have them perform selected monologues or a number from a musical, and then the students would talk about their experience being in the theater program, the highlights, what are their favorite moments, things that they love about it, and they would have a conversation with the middle school eighth graders. Now that we are virtual and we don't have the privilege of going into the classroom and talking face to face with those students, creating a video and sending it to, for high school, sending it to the middle school teachers, or for middle school teachers, sending it to the elementary school, especially if there is already a connection class with drama. You can send that video to those teachers, and then they're able to share it with the students, and that's another way to gain the interest of the students and get into recruit. Another way that I advocate and show my presence and highlight my program is through performing at school board meetings or different school events. So as you can see here in these two pictures, these are two of my students performing at the Fulton County School Board unveiling plan. They were a part of that presentation and sharing that information with the audience. And it was a privilege for my students to be a part of that and letting people know that these are my students, this is what we're doing. And they were able to network and build relationships with a lot of the board members that evening. Also, at my school, whenever they were having certain faculty meetings or just various meetings, sometimes my students would be the performance element, the entertainment element in that meeting. Also, as you can see, we also had parent night at our school where we would invite the students in our school and their parents to talk with our students and with our teachers to find out more information about the different pathway and electives and programs that are offered at the school. Again, we are virtual, so you might not have that opportunity now to have that one-on-one, but I think it would be great creating videos, showing clips of your students' performance, having them talk about what they like, and then possibly having your principal share that on the school's website or sharing it on your social media. That's another way to get that information out to parents and prospective students. Also, we participate in Theater in School Week and Arts and Education Week. And simply, I would have my students wear their drama t-shirts, as you can see pictured here, during that week or certain days during that week. They would post videos on our social media page. I would also have like a social media takeover where one of the board members from my drama club would take over social media that day, and they would have us do a vlog. They would do a vlog and have us follow them throughout the day, seeing what they're doing in class, talking to their friends, getting insight on what we're doing in the meetings. And again, that is to advertise, gain visibility, let people know what we're doing. Students will also do a short video or post a short video of their favorite moment in drama club or favorite moment in the theater class, theater program. We would also do an end of semester fine arts performance. So at the end of the semester, I would collaborate with our course teacher, our band director, and our art instructor, and we would put on a fine art showcase. I also have at the end of every semester, my students have a final performance event where they invite their friends and they invite their parents to see their performance. And they would select, I always give them option. Sometimes we're dealing with new material that they're going to present, or sometimes they're able to revisit their favorite project that they've done that semester, and we display that as a part of our showcase. Again, since we're virtual, you can always make that a video, have students record themselves, create a video, and share that with administrators, share that on your social media, on your website, and through email to other teachers. What I did this particular semester, I made a video and I shared it with my school. I did a video highlighting for Black History Month. My students all worked on different projects. I made a video and I was able to share that with my school, and they're able to see, despite being virtual, the awesome things that my students are working on during this semester. Now, here are just some ways I advertise, let people know what's going on. I post flyers around my school building. I also post the flyers on my social media page for our program. And just through word of mouth, a lot of times the students are working on great things. They're excited about what they're doing, and they'll tell their friends about it. I realize I'm able to do more with my drama club, because of our class schedule and because at the beginning of my program, a lot of students did not select the class, so they were kind of just put in. So I really had to do different things to get their interest, and I really started doing that with my drama club because it was more exclusive. We were competing and participating in more things. So those students talking about their positive experience and telling other people, I was really able to gain visibility, and I was able to advertise and get more people interested in what we're doing. Besides posting the flyers around the school building and using the students, them talking about their positive experience to gain interest, I also use social media. So we have an Instagram page where I highlight different students' work and what we're doing. So for example, this semester I had 2 students that passed on to the semifinals in the August Wilson monologue competition. That is posted on our social media page. I had a student that received gold for the AXA competition. That is also posted. So anything that we're working on, any scenes, monologue work, set design, I generally share those things on social media. Of course, with student permission and parents' permission. Now, how do we develop community engagement? So we know that collaborating with other teachers across our district and our classroom can allow us to advocate for our program in our building with our administrators and in our district. But how do we reach out to the community at large? And these are just 3 ways that I have used. I've done nursing home visits where students, as you can see pictured here, we go into the nursing home and we assist with sharing food. They engage in conversation. We also made holiday cards because this particular visit was during the holiday. We made holiday cards for the individuals that are living in that nursing home. And then we also, at the end of that evening, we performed for them. And they loved it. This is a picture here of some of my students with some of the members of the nursing home. Also, you can get more involved in your community by creating a children's touring troupe. In this middle picture, you can see some of my students. We just received those puppets, and they were getting acclimated and rehearsing, working with them. This particular project, actually, there was a group that wanted to go out and teach the community about environmental and being aware and taking care of our environment and not littering, not polluting. And they wanted to use puppetry as a way to educate our students and educate our community about that particular issue. And my students would be the performers. So I was able to collaborate with that organization and have my students also visit different elementary and middle schools to present that performance. Also, through creating a board of directors. So my school had a wonderful idea that each department, each content area, CTAE and Fine Arts specifically, we would reach out to different community members to create what we call a board of directors for your particular program. And the board of directors can be made up of other teachers in the building, other artists, other art educators, and any other community member that you think would be beneficial to your particular program. I specifically had film artists, actors, other theater directors were a part of my board of members, and they were really instrumental in supporting me, leading me into the next direction as how I can grow my program. They were able to come in and do workshops with my students, and it was great. Also, whenever I was doing different performances, I was able to call on them to assist me with working with lights, and luckily for me, they volunteered their time. So it was excellent networking and building that group of supporters that would help me as I tried to grow my program. Now, how do you create a sense of community? That is important for us personally as professionals, as well as in our own personal classroom. Now, here are some ways I build community in my classroom. I would start off each semester just focusing on ensemble building activities and games. A lot of trust exercises, activities that allow the students to get to know each other, to get comfortable with the nature of the classroom. So I spent the first few weeks just setting the class environment and setting up norms and creating clear expectations and routines for the students. I also enforced the idea that error is acceptable. A lot of students come in and they're very afraid of messing up. They're really insecure about, I'm not a good actor, I don't know how to do this, I'm not very good. But once I encourage the idea that it's not necessarily about being right, it's not math where it's right or wrong. This is a space, a safe space where you can explore and create. And there are stronger choices than others, but there's not necessarily a right or wrong. And if you mess up, it's an opportunity for you to learn and to improve and to grow. And I find that once students grab hold of that idea, they are more willing to take risk and have fun. And I'm able to see them improve. And whether that's going from not being able to stand in front of the class to getting up with confidence and presenting, because all my students come in at different levels. But once they do get a hold of that concept, I can definitely see the growth and to see their vulnerability and their openness in learning. I also enforce that it's important for us to value each other's opinions. The schools that I've worked in, I've noticed that students are very critical of each other. And I try to reinforce that it's important for us to listen and be open to different perspectives. We're all coming from different walks of life, different places, different families, and the way we view the world, what we like, our interests are very different. So it's very important that we don't let others feel unimportant or not seen or not valued. So I find that it's very important for me to make sure my students are aware of that, especially a part of performing is being open to critique, and that's what allows you to grow. So if you're afraid of putting yourself out there because of the opinions of others, or because you're afraid of how people are going to receive your work, it's going to cause you to close off. So again, I really try to let my students understand that value each other's opinions, be open, and listen to understand. And it is okay to change your mind based on what someone else said. So if you're working in a group and you guys are writing a play, be open to what someone is going to add and be willing to find a way to collaborate, and also allow that person's ideas to shift yours. Also, another way that I build community in the classroom is simply through learning about my students and their interests. What are the things that they're interested in? What are their expectations coming into a drama classroom? And seeing how I can incorporate that in what I'm already doing. So find out the things that your students like. Of course, we have a curriculum. Of course, we have things that we have to teach. But make sure that the students' interest is incorporated into what we're doing. That's how we can grab them. That's how they'll feel a part of, they'll feel heard. And I use this to inform the materials that I pick, the types of scenes that I pick, how I group my students, which leads me into my next point, which is I am very intentional in the groups that I create. I do a lot of group assignments and group project and ensemble activities. So I am careful in how I group my students. I also use positive reinforcement. A lot of times students are used to hearing about the things that they need to work on, but reminding them of the things that they are already doing well, that allows them to feel valued, to feel a part of. And when you are critiquing them and you are telling them what they need to improve on, they are more easily ready to receive that. Also, I post pictures of my students around the room. I highlight students' work and display it around the room, as well as on the outside board of my classroom. And as I mentioned before, I post things on social media, highlight the accomplishments of my students. We also have a drama club t-shirt that they wear, that they are proud to wear on Fridays around the school building. And it allows them to feel a part of, like, I'm a part of this group. It's drama club. I also identify student leaders in my classroom, and this is really instrumental in helping me deal with classroom management issues and behavior issues. If I'm able to identify those leaders and strategically place them in certain groups, they're able to manage, facilitate when they're working in groups, keeping their groups on task. So that is quite helpful. And sometimes the students who can be a bit difficult, sometimes giving them some type of responsibility gives them something to do. They feel valued in the space. They have less time to get distracted. So that's always helpful. As I mentioned before, clear routines and having clear expectations, as well as displaying the daily agenda. I find that once students know what to expect, they come into the classroom, this is what we do, this is what we'll do next. Even if they're not aware of the exact activities that we're going to do for the day, having a routine of how you enter the room, what we do, whether it's a bell ringer, we get started in our journal, at the end of classes, how we dismiss, having those clear routines allow the students to feel that they're a part of this system. Also, displaying the daily agenda, for me, allows the students to know what we're going to be talking about, what to expect for the class. And I find that usually when they know what we're doing, before I even open the class and introduce the learning target and what we're going to do, seeing that, they get excited. Oh, this is what we're going to do. They can get prepared. Oh, we're working on this today. Oh, we're going to be starting working on puppets. Miss Henry, what is that about? They're already asking questions and they're already interested. I find that makes them more excited and they have something to look forward to each time that they come to my class. I celebrate or I recognize birthdays at the beginning of every month. So we're in the month of March. I'll recognize all the students that are having birthdays in the month of March, and we just recognize them, say happy birthday, sing happy birthday for them, and that always lets them feel seen, they feel appreciated. And the last thing I would suggest is love what you do. As a teacher, when you are excited about what you're teaching, excited about your content area, the students can feel that. And I find that when I insert myself into what we're doing for the class, I'm as excited about the improv games, as excited to talk about Greek theater and African American theater and scene work, and I'm there with them. They're also excited. They feed off of that energy and it pulls them in. And it creates a classroom environment that is conducive for learning and encourages students working together as an ensemble. Now, here's some ways in which I was able to find and build my own community as a theater educator. It is important for us to find support. For a lot of us, we are the only theater teacher in our building. For a lot of us, we're probably the only theater teacher in our region. Everyone's situation is different, so it is important for you to find support on social media platforms with different theater organizations, attending conferences, finding and connecting with other theater teachers across the district, across the state, as much as you can. For me, I'm a part of 2 main Facebook groups, and you can see them here. These groups, they post a lot of lesson plans. You can ask questions, ask for ideas. You can communicate and connect with teachers across the country, really. And some of the teachers are also teaching abroad internationally. So it's very interesting for me to connect with those teachers, to see what they're doing in their classroom, where their students are, and to compare what I'm doing and where my students are. And just to share ideas, see other cool projects that they're doing, and I'm able to adapt and modify them for my students. Outside of Facebook, there are other platforms that you can use, other social media platforms. I've recently discovered Clubhouse. I've found some really good groups, and of course, you have to sort through them because there's a wealth of information out there, but you have to find the ones that are valid before you. But I found some excellent groups on Clubhouse where I'm able to connect with other teachers, again, share ideas, talk about our virtual learning experience, see what they're doing in their classroom, what works for them, take ideas and see how I can adapt them to what I'm doing in my classroom. Also, I'm a part of the International Theater Association. You can create an account with them. They post a lot of resources. I've also been able to attend conferences where I get a wealth of information, and I'm also able to network with other teachers across the state. Also, your district may offer different PLCs where you can connect with other theater educators in your district. Also, your department. And some of us, you might be the only theater teacher in your fine arts department, but collaborating with those other teachers can be excellent. I found that working with the chorus teacher when I'm doing a musical is great. If there's a dance teacher in your department, if you're doing a musical, you can collaborate with them. I've had the chorus teacher come in and work with my students sometimes when we're doing voice work. I've also visited the chorus teacher when they're working on certain musical numbers on facial expression and acting and characterization. So I'm able to collaborate with them. They're able to help me and I'm able to help them. As I mentioned before, attending different conferences is another great way that I've been able to connect with other teachers. And also other theater educator friends. I have friends that are teaching on a collegiate level, teaching high school, teaching middle school, teaching elementary, and I'm able to, again, collaborate and share with them, talk about what they're doing, and they're able to support me when I'm doing a show and I need a second opinion. I'm able to call on them, and they're extremely helpful and always open and ready to offer their ideas. Also, finding different professional organizations. I'm personally a part of PAGE, but there are different professional organizations that you can join that will also offer support for you. And last but not least, the Godot community. This is an excellent way for you to connect with teachers across the state, learn from them, share ideas, engage in discussion and conversation about their experience, your experience, and finding ways that you all can support each other. Sometimes it is really lonely in your building when no one understands what it is to teach your content area online, but you're able to reach out to another teacher that completely, definitely understands, and then you guys are able to support each other. Listen and vent, and then figure out what are the solutions and what are some things that you can do to still be successful, to still create the classroom environment that you want, to still advocate for your program, and to be visible in your school building. So I encourage all of you to explore the different groups that are on the Godot community. For middle school theater, I also encourage you all to subscribe. So once you're on the homepage, click the subscribe button for an update on the discussions that are posted. That way you'll get a message, you'll be notified that, hey, there's a new video on. You're able to search and explore other groups that are available on the Godot community. Again, guys, I hope you found this webinar helpful for you. I hope it can be useful for you as you are figuring out how to advocate for your program, how to grow your program, how to get the administrators in your building to recognize what you are doing and the value you have, the impact that you're having with these students. Don't forget that collaboration and network are your number one go-to strategies. Find ways to connect with the other teachers across your building, across your district, collaborating with the elementary school teachers, and finding ways to recruit and get the interest of those that are around you. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We are on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we have a YouTube page. I am looking forward to hearing from you guys. Share with me, what are you doing in your school to advocate, to allow your administrators to see what you are doing? How are you building community in your classroom, and how are you building a community of professionals that can support you? How are you keeping the community engaged in what you are doing? Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.